Hey, guys, sorry for the interruption. That PRC came in to check on me and see I was doing good. So when I heard that from Jonathan, or from Annie, who had been talking, and Annie and Jonathan worked together in the same office for the longest time. Um, she was his assistant director, so she trusts him, and staff trusts him, and everything else like that, which is good. He knows what he's talking about. But anyway, I was really relieved that I didn't have to go to the hospital or be monitored all day sitting in a hard plastic chair, or have to take an ambulance ride all the way to the hospital and sit in a crisis unit, which I'll talk to you about in another video. Crisis unit's not bad, but it's just a pain in the ass. You're there for hours. They have to take blood. They have to take urine sample. You have to sit there, and then a crisis worker comes. You have to tell all these people why you were, what happened, and tell the story like 10 million times. And then, I would, basically I was returned home and, spent the whole night there. And, what Jess was saying was, well, the next time they try to do that, basically insist that they check you in. Because at least, you can go sleep on the unit and not have to ride home in the ambulance at, midnight in the morning. But anyway, so I was relieved. But then I was also suspicious. And what I was telling you about is the patterns, with PTSD especially, I guess with any kind of abuse, you look for a pattern in someone's behavior or in situations. So what's coming next. And so, when something is outside the pattern and something is in the pattern is not the same, it makes you suspicious, and it makes you wonder what's going to happen next, and what is this person trying to do, and I did think that. I was like, what, this is totally out of the ordinary, and what is going on with this free pass thing. And I, now I'm kind of thinking like, gee, is it a birthday present, because my birthday is in a few weeks. It's like, okay, happy birthday, you don't need to go to the hospital. So I'm relieved. It would have made things 10 times worse if I had to be either put in another room, observation room, or had had to go to the crisis unit, had to be put in the hospital, just everything that that could have happened. And I think maybe that's why he's doing this, is just he knows that I'm not at a risk. That's what sucks about going to the crisis unit. I can see if you're like suicidal or like constantly thinking about it, but when they sent me there the other time, I wasn't thinking about like doing it anymore, but they sent me anyway. And I think that's the part that where the crisis unit people are like, I don't understand why they send these people out other than to cover their own ass about we did the proper protocol or whatever, which I understand. But so I'm happy. I'm doing much better knowing that, I got some relief, obviously, from self-injuring. And I did, but I have a long time between times when I do this. I haven't done it in a long time. The last time I did it was March, so it was like 2 months in between. And between all that other time, I hadn't scratched at all. So it's not like, I've gone, I gone 2 months since, almost three, well, it's what, May 20th or something? What is it today?
Wednesday, May 20th.
20th, it's the 20th, so I'm almost, well, basically 2 months, because it was March, April, May, and, almost June, almost 3 months that I haven't done it. And, Jonathan's attitude is, let's look at the big picture, that if I were to scratch, or if I were to cut, he says, yeah, you cut, or no, you self-injured, you self-injured once in like months, and I think that's sort of how he looks at it. Not that it's okay, but it's like, we shouldn't like, get so depressed on like, I did this, and so like everything is ruined, and that's his attitude, is like, well, we're just gonna keep going. And I am disappointed that, I think I would have been more disappointed if like everything fell apart. And maybe that's why he's doing this, is to show me that like, okay, first of all, for whatever reason, you can't make yourself bleed. So that was the goal of that, and yet it didn't turn out, and so I'm probably not going to do it again. Second of all, we're going to go over this, and, maybe he didn't want to, he's probably going to talk about why I did it, and, I think maybe he knew at that point I wasn't really thinking about the consequences, obviously, because I did it. I mean, every other time I thought about it. I guess the fact that I thought of, I had that thought in my head for weeks, week and a half or whatever before I actually did it. I mean, I think he knows that, it wasn't like I was on the edge of doing something, at that moment. I was, it's a lot that, if this hadn't come into play with my dad's work and, my feelings about visiting home and everything, it wouldn't have happened. And so I think he's probably just gonna, we'll learn something from it, and then, I don't know why he's giving me this chance, but, he is, and I am grateful for it. So, yeah, I will talk to you guys later about it, but, I guess to end this, because it's kind of a short video, I guess I'll title it, that's sort of Jonathan's view of self-injury, is, he actually sees it as he respects it as a coping mechanism, not a healthy one, but he says, he was saying, if I had to choose between working with alcoholics and working with self-injury, he said I would work with self-injury. I guess he's had a lot of bad experience working with alcoholics. But, he's worked with all kinds of people who do all kinds of things, and he respects, how it does calm down your feelings, in the short term, and what that person feels like they have to, what position they're in where they feel like they have to do this. And so he actually respects it as creative, but he wants the person to also be able to have more and more healthier, things to draw on when, he knows that a person is always going to have this in the back of their mind probably for the rest of their life. But, to make it better, and to not, not punish the person or judge the person for having this. And, like I said, the harm reduction, where, like, a certain amount of it is tolerated, not accepted as in, like, go do it, but, it's seen as, okay, this is what's going on, and this means that she's, having a hard time, and, and then it gets to be, when it gets to be a more of a safety issue, or, more emotionally intense, of going outside of the care, of what is, tolerated, then it becomes really more of a psych issue. I mean, it's all monitored, and it's all, they thought really hard about this before they put it into place, and, obviously other approaches weren't working, so this is what they did for me. And that for someone else it could be totally different. Like, I bet Jess, you've seen Jess, and she deals with self-harm as well. But hers is totally different. Everyone's situation of why they do it is totally different, so everyone needs to have a different treatment plan. And she, I'm sure, has a different treatment plan, and I don't know what it is, but, they have stuff figured out on how they help her, and it's totally different. So, I was wondering about any of you guys, what are your therapists, if you tell your therapist about your self-injury, I know, because I know a lot of people don't want to tell their therapist, and what your therapist is doing to help you, or psychiatrist, with it, and what their take on it is, and how they, what their approach is. I'd be really curious to see what your therapist's approaches are to self-injury, and, when stuff like that happens. So, that's about it for now. I'm going to put these up, and I'm going to see what people's thoughts are. Alright, I'll talk to you later. Bye.